Greetings! My name's Sue's Cat. I am the sometimes befuddled brain behind the blog Confessions of a Laundry Fairy. And today marks the end of my 5th week after duodenal switch surgery, which took place August 2nd, 2018. Some quick stats. I am 48 years old. I'm just under 5 foot 4 inches tall. My heaviest weight was 270 pounds. My weight at surgery was 236 pounds. And this morning I weighed in at 210.6 pounds. Only 1 pound lost this week. Whatever shall I do? I don't worry too much about it for a couple of reasons. First, I always gain a little water weight, about 5 pounds worth of water weight during that most delightful time of the month for women. And second, since I switched over from clear liquids to purees, I expect my weight loss to slow down a little bit. And speaking of purees, can we just talk about the puree stage for a second? It is awesome! Anything that can be blended is now mine to enjoy, and I'm loving it. I have been going slightly overboard on carbs, which is not good for me, and is yet a third reason why I didn't lose a lot of weight this week. But I'm just so happy to be able to enjoy this spectrum of flavors again. I mean, I can wait for textures as long as I can get into things like applesauce and soup and even Braunschweiger if I want to. So that's part's been really nice. I've really been enjoying that. Getting used to a much smaller stomach has been a bit of a challenge. It still kind of weirds me out that I can't finish a cup of cottage cheese in a sitting. That just seems odd to me. To give you an idea, because visuals help. Used to be that I could eat about this much worth of food at a sitting. So now I think, because I've had my surgery, that I can now eat about this much worth of food in a sitting. No, it's more like this much worth of food in a sitting. So it's different, and I've had to get used to this, and it'll take me a while before I get used to that. There have been a couple of times this week when I think I pushed my little stomach's limits, but there was no more barfing. There was no eat a sandwich, barf it up incident. We're not going to do that anymore. I'm done with that now. Once was enough. Today I'd like to talk about something that I've thought about talking about for a while, but I've held off because I thought that could get me in trouble. But I think it's important that we talk about it. Namely, getting advice online from DS surgery related social media, forums, chat groups, Facebook groups, any of those things. Now, obviously, I've got nothing against people sharing advice online. That's what I'm doing right now. So that's not really a problem. But I would urge you to be very cautious when you venture into social media groups that purport to offer DS patient support, because of some of the advice that you will receive there. I'm not sure what it is about choosing duodenal switch surgery over other types of bariatric surgery, but it seems like the overwhelming majority of people who choose DS, A, really do their homework, and B, are highly opinionated people. And yes, I'm one of those, so I'm not excluding myself from that at all. There are a few outspoken folks who belong to many, if not all, of these social media groups. And a few of them seem to think that their opinions override the directives of your surgeon. And that could be a problem. They may insist that your surgeon is steering you wrong about what kinds of things you can eat, when you can drink, whether you can take aspirin or not, what kind, how many, which brands of supplements you take. And they all but demand that you follow their advice instead of your surgeons or nutritionists. So before you're cowed into doing what some internet rando dictates you should be doing, you need to keep in mind that no amount of personal experience or certitude in the correctness of her opinions gives someone the right to place an MD after her name, okay? When it comes to medical advice, there's a pretty clearly defined hierarchy of people who you should heed before some random stranger on the internet Top of the list, your own bariatric surgeon, the person who is going to do or has done your surgery and thus knows the most about it. Next on that list, other professionals on your surgeon's team, the nutritionist, the ARNP, etc. Third on the list is another bariatric surgeon to whom you have gone for a second opinion. It's never a bad idea to get a second opinion, by the way, but get it from someone who has the medical expertise. Way down at the bottom of that list is some random stranger on the internet. So maybe you're aware of this already, but strangers on the internet may not always be who they claim to be. I mean, how useful is it to follow the dictates of someone who claims to be a 17-year veteran of DS surgery when that person is lying? And there's no way of telling. They used to say on the internet, nobody knows you're a dog. Well, on the internet, nobody knows if you're lying. And that's kind of important, even if Mr. or Mrs. Random Stranger is telling you the truth. The other thing to keep in mind is that there are constant advances in the field of medicine, specifically in bariatric surgery. And what was cutting-edge advice 17 years ago may be passé or even potentially dangerous now. So keep in mind that your surgeon is highly paid to stay up to date in his or her field of expertise. Yes, I'm aware that I am a random stranger on the internet. And that's one of the reasons why I don't dispense specific medical advice. I'm not a doctor. I don't even play one on TV. If you have to choose between taking my advice and the advice of your surgeon, pick your surgeon every time, because your surgeon knows what he or she is talking about. All I can give you is random advice, things that worked for me, but won't necessarily work for you. So listen to your surgeon. Now, surgeons are human. They can sometimes be wrong. That does happen. It's never a bad idea to seek a second opinion. Statistically speaking, though, those 8 to 12 years of medical school, they make it a lot more likely that surgeons know what they're talking about. If for some reason you have determined that your surgeon really is steering you wrong, we are in a society that allows you to take legal recourse against your surgeon. Just try suing some random internet stranger for malpractice. Oh, wait, you can't! So if you want to take a layman's advice, go ahead and take it with a grain of salt. But don't let anybody bully you into non-compliance with your surgeon's directives. No matter what they say, the online surgery veterans are not authorities. Anyway, that's about all that I have for today. If you have any questions, if you have comments, if you want to give me advice, see, I'm soliciting advice, so you can give it to me, or if you think that I'm totally messed up with the information that I gave you today, go ahead and make comments. I have no problem with that. If you are enjoying this series and you want to see what kind of shenanigans I'm up to, go ahead and subscribe and you will get the latest information when I post a new video. Again, my name is Srikanth. I run the blog Confessions of a Laundry Fairy, which can be found at laundryfairy.blogspot.com. And thank you very much for your time. We'll see you next week. Bye.